My father was homeless for parts of his life, and he ended up dying homeless. He also struggled with mental health and addiction. So I feel like I have a close experience to that in that way. Um, my parents got divorced. My mom helped my dad for a long time, and then eventually she couldn't anymore, and he ended up. Uh, so eventually he did end up homeless. I think I wasn't as aware of it as when I was younger, because I knew I was, because so I guess like when you're talking about myths, sometimes like you can be homeless and still sometimes have a place to stay. So like you can be homeless but you're still at the mission, or you're homeless like, so for instance my dad stayed in the Brickman house for a while, um, and so I think when I visited him there, like I knew it was like different, but I didn't really understand like it was normal for me because it's all I ever knew. So like or like when I would visit him at like maybe like a halfway house, like Alpha Omega, or I forget another name of the house. Like I just thought my dad had roommates. Like I knew it was not the like typical living situation, but I don't know that I understood everything that was going on. And then my dad became like homeless, like no shelter. Um, so towards the end of his life, I think he was progressing with alcoholism, and um, I remember the last time that I talked to him, and I asked him where he was, and he wouldn't tell me. And apparently, like so I think he broke into a church to steal, not is stealing, but like for like blankets and like survival needs. And I know what he was thinking in his mind because he was a religious guy. So like I think he thought like this is God's house and like God would want me to have this stuff. But I think that they put his picture in the paper, which all this I found out later through my mom. Um, so I didn't know about that. And then he was scared and possibly mentally ill and paranoid, so he went like on the run. So they ended up finding his body in Kentucky, and we like have no relation to Kentucky, so I have no idea why he was there. But I just remember the last time talking to him, he was definitely messed up on something. Like I didn't know what he was on, but I was asking him like, "What are you on?" Um, and he basically either overdosed or froze to death, or like a combination of both. Um, but I mean, that's how my dad died. So I definitely feel a connection to that population in that sense. I think everything in my life has shaped my need to try to kind of transform social justice or make the world a better place. So I think definitely being connected personally to someone that has gone through this. I think just knowing that your dad died alone on the streets and possibly like froze to death is clearly not. I mean, it's not that a lot of people feel bad, and I'm okay talking about it. I don't. I feel bad when other people feel bad because it's not. It's when it's your life, you learn how to cope with it. But I think just it makes it real, and so it makes it. It's not this like separate thing that maybe you're trying to help someone, or maybe you're trying to do something that you hypothetically care about, or like you know that you care, but it's like you've seen it, you've lived it, you've worked with it. Uh, so yeah, I think that having a relationship to that has made me definitely always concerned about people who don't have enough, or who aren't are underrepresented in every form of our society. I think people look down on people who are homeless. I think that they think in our society that like it's a choice, that like you could magically do something to not be homeless, that is your fault. There's no possibility that you ended up there because the systems are built against you. And I think that changing that, so knowing my dad, and I guess taking it back to the personal level, understanding that in some cases I watched him fight really hard to try to take care of himself and to have a life, and then going through what I've gone through personally in my life, and understanding that I feel like I could be there in my future, or could have been there, and just haven't yet. And I'm really grateful for like people in in my lives and resources that I've been able to utilize. Um, I think we have to change the conversation. I think if you can't empathize or humanize with people, it's very easy to turn a blind eye and just to say like that's not me and that will never be me because I can't understand how anyone would ever end up there. But when you can start to understand that that is you, or that could be your brother, that could be your dad, that could be someone you love, it's a lot harder to turn away and to say I won't do anything about this. So I think that's important in changing how we deal with this. When you realize that it's not somebody's fault, or that people are sick, or that we don't take good care of people in America, there are a lot of people who just like to think that this country is amazing um, and that we do everything we can, and that it's easy to blame people. Like it's really easy to blame people, and if you accept that, if you are able to get to the place in your mind where you can say, wait, this wasn't anybody's fault, and our systems are failing people, then you have to either just say that you're willing to not do anything and be responsible for that, or you have to work hard to change that. And those things both take a lot of work. So it's hard to say, I'm not going to do anything about this, or I am going to do something about this. Either one is hard. But if you can, when you can say, well, it's their fault, or it's this or that, when you can blame someone else and disconnect yourself from it, then you don't have to do anything about it. So I think that it's psychologically, I think it makes sense as humans because it's easier just to say, I'm not going to do anything about this, or I can't do anything about this. I think media does portray homelessness that way, probably in pop culture and movies. I don't know that there are a lot of great portrayals of homeless people ever, or any. If there are portrayals, there might. I'm not sure that there are like even movies that tell homeless stories. Yeah, thank you. I mean, like, yeah, my dad was an awesome person, and he was a lot like me. So, I mean, I think that's why I feel, I don't know, I feel like at any time I could be my dad. So I'm also very grateful, oftentimes, but and understand that it's not out of the realms of possibility. But I mean, my dad was really funny, and he really cared about other people like this. Like he was someone who fought for social justice. And he was kind and he was loving, and a lot of people cared about him. And he was really sick, and I think that at times he did really try um, to address the issues that he had in his life. But so I don't think it was his fault, and I don't blame him. Um, I think that's important. I think it is important to put a face to a name. Again, when you don't have a face, you don't have to take responsibility. You don't have to work on anything. But when you say like, oh, that was my neighbor, that's my brother, that's my sister, that's my dad, then you have to actually step up. So no, I mean, I think that's what's hard. Not hard, but I mean, it's what is probably the most tragic because my dad was a really good person with a lot of potential, um, and based on systems in this country and just the way things work, his life was cut short. Um, and did he play a responsibility in that? In some ways, yeah. But do I think it was like his fault, or that if things hadn't gone a different way, or there weren't more resources, or there weren't more? I mean, my dad had a. I mean, so like another thing, he went to Western. Like he had a master's in social work from Western Michigan University. He was a smart guy. Like he. I think if anything, I don't want to perpetuate the myth that all homeless people are addicts. My dad was an addict. I mean, that is accurate, but also I think that we don't deal with addiction in any sort of like realistic or helpful way in this country right now, and that has to change. That these issues are interconnected, and that has to be a part of what we tackle when we try to tackle homelessness as a social justice issue. I feel super grateful. It means like gratitude. To me, it means I have a roof over my head. I'm not gonna freeze to death that night. That I have a bed to sleep in. Um, I can't imagine what it is like for other people going through that. So I guess I mean I just try to be as grateful as I can be because I also feel like I could be there had any number of situations not happen in my life, and I'm not sure that I won't end up there at some point in my life. So I try to be very present and thankful and grateful and then do the work that I can do to make sure that everybody does have a home. Um, so it's not just being grateful, but being grateful and working to make sure that everybody has access to that because there is enough resources in this country. There is enough for everybody to be okay, and systems prevent that from happening. So blaming people I don't think is helpful, but working on fighting systems um, is definitely the route that we have to take because there's no reason that anybody in this country shouldn't have a home. There's absolutely no excuse. Just that it's not maybe as separate as you think. Like it could be you tomorrow, or it could be your family member, or even if it couldn't, like what if it was? How would you feel? Like how would you feel if it was your father? How would you work harder? Would you do something differently? How would you feel if it was your mother or your sister or your best friend or your I don't know. How can we be more understanding and compassionate of each other in every way and learning and like how can we continue these conversations and then what can we when they read this booklet and they get all this information how can they take that and move that into like action and positive change because I do feel like we can be a better country and I do feel like I know we can do better and it's just going to take a lot of people working really hard and so we need everybody that reads this to like step up and come join